Growing up in Abeokuta and attending Lisa Grammar School, what values or lessons from your early life have you stayed with throughout your journey?
I think the spectacular thing about living in Abeokuta was that I came from the north and I was age 11 and I was thrown straight into a boarding house. Even I was in primary 6. But because my father thought I needed to do my secondary school in the southern part of the country, he felt it's better for me to just... So I was in the boarding house in primary 6, living among secondary school students. So that for me was a very good training, because then I suddenly realized you have to fight for yourself. You go to the dining hall, it could be rowdy. The seniors are having their own thing. And for quite a few times, I thought I was really losing out. So I started to be more assertive. That for me was a very good training ground for me. And then I moved at the end of the year to Lishabi Grammar School.
At what age?
The next year, so 1967, that was age 12. So I moved into Lishabi Grammar School. And again, the thing that really caught my attention was the fact that my father told me, now you are in secondary school, you have to maintain your academic performance. So it was an early introduction to what KPI is for me. Because otherwise I would just think, I go to the school, I study hard, and I will come out well. But my father made it clear to me that now that you're in secondary school, you must not go beyond the 3rd position. And that stayed with me about the importance of what we now call KPIs today. And that was the starting point for me. And then in the first term in the secondary school, my position was 3rd.
Wow.
So my father said, this is good, but you have to improve. And I kept improving. Second time, my position became 2nd. And 3rd term, I took a 1st.
Oh, wow.
So I could really feel that, there is something, because I was determined. I was watching my performance by myself. So it was my very first introduction to independent living. I was independent, but I was responsible.
Then Zika, you could hear this. Like, things have changed compared to, like, look at how old you were at the end, but you were focused and you were disciplined, and you wanted to also come out with good grades, and also want to make sure your parents are very proud of you.
Absolutely.
So was that also like a turning point of you telling yourself that I must make it? I must be...
Well, to be honest, for me, I felt the kind of coaching I was getting from my father, even at a much younger age, is the best example for any parent. My father will make sure that we will go on a walk together in the evening. And I wasn't even in secondary school. We'll go on a walk in the evening when we're in Ofar, when we're in Kafanchan, and all he will be telling me is about life. Things you must do, things you must not do. How education is so important. As far as my dad is concerned, education is omnipotent. If you don't get it right, forget about any decent living in life. So it has always inculcated it in me that you must be properly educated, you must study hard. And as far as he was concerned, there are only 3 professions that you must aim at. You must either be a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer. Well, these days we don't do that for our children. So that early introduction to the importance and value of education was very, very important for me.
So what sparked your passion for mathematics and computer science, and how did that shape your early ambitions?
Well, I think I had a natural ability for numbers. Because even in primary school, my arithmetic was always, I was always scoring good grades. And in secondary school too, my grades were always strong. But I also, at some point, I realized when I was in secondary school that this math is my strongest point. So I was always aiming to score as high as 100%, because I know that in other subjects like history, like geography, I'm not going to be as high. I was always looking at my mathematics or arithmetic or geometry to make sure I cover up. It's just my own strong point, and I've maintained it for a very long time. I mean, I've always felt that even when I was in the university, I've always felt that, look, I can make a first class in mathematics even with my eyes closed, because math comes naturally to me. So, and I just felt, okay, this is my strong point. I better hone in on it.
So did you finally study maths in the university? So you're a mathematician?
In university, I studied math and computer science.
Oh, wow.
So
I have a friend that has the first class in maths. She's the MD of CTFN.
Okay.
Dr. Allen, she's called, she has first class, yeah. She actually studied anything. So the little question, graduating with the first class degree from University of Lagos is a significant achievement. How did that moment influence your career trajectories?
I must say, I remember that evening so vividly. I went out to the shrine because I love Fela music a lot. And I was always in the shrine at least once a week. So I came back from the shrine we had finished our exam, just waiting for results. So I came back from the shrine that evening, went to my room, and was just trying to relax. Then my hostel door started banging. Mutiu, the result is out. You made a first class. I was so excited that this is a good feeling. So I felt that day that, yeah, I wish I could just call my father on the phone now and tell him, because he was going to be the proudest father on earth.
Yeah.
If I could just get that information out to him. And the following day, I looked for a phone. I went to P&T and called my father at work. I was very excited. So me too, I was excited.
Where was he working then?
Railway. My father worked with railways all his life. Okay. And I think it was somewhere in Jos or Maduguri, I can't remember. So I felt really excited, and I told myself, okay, so my career is set to be a university professor. And that's all I wanted to be in my life.
To be a professor in the university, to lecture?
Yeah, to go and lecture and become a prof.
Oh, wow. So how did that now divert to, I mean, like, how did that?
I think I would say it's just fate. Because even when my colleagues were applying for work, I never did. I felt what I wanted to do was so clear to me. Just go and get your PhD and head back to the classroom. So I wasn't interested in applying for a job at all. But one fateful evening, I went to visit a secondary school classmate of mine. I was serving my youth corps in Lagos, in Surulere, and they live in Surulere too. So I went to see him. He was living with his elder brother. So he was very excited to introduce me to his elder brother. I meet my friend, is doing youth corps. And the elder brother was also, the elder brother had another friend who was with him. He was working with Shell. So the Shell man now asked me, so what did you study? I said, I studied mathematics and computer science. He said, what grade did you make? I said, I made a first class. He said, oh, this is the kind of person we want in Shell. We then brought out his card, scribbled at the back and said, go to 40 Marina next week and show this card to Mrs. Whitehead. Mrs. Whitehead was the head of recruitment then, and he will arrange for you to be tested, to be interviewed. And that's how my journey into Shell started.
Wow. That's how your dream of becoming a lecturer just...
Yeah, and frankly, I remember the day I got my letter of employment from Shell was the same day I got my letter of scholarship from Commonwealth, offering me to study statistics in Waterloo to PhD level. So I became so confused.
Oh.
I put the Shell letter, I put the Commonwealth letter on my NYSC room, and I slept off because I just didn't have a clue what would I do. So when I woke up, I started to talk to my friends, and as many friends as I spoke with, I got as many different ideas. Some people will say, you better go abroad, or some people will say, you better go and work. So I was really confused. So nobody was able to convince me one way or the other, to be honest. So I felt, anyway, I already had my plan. Let me just go and work my plan. So I was still working on my scholarship. There are things I needed to do. I needed to go back to my university to get a letter of recommendation. So I went back to University of Lagos to meet one of my professors in mathematics. To say, please, can you sign this for me for recommendation? And then the man looked at me. He said, don't let your result get you into trouble. You want to come and be like us? I'm telling you, it's not worth it. Especially since you have computer science, why don't you go into the industry and work? I said, yeah, I even have an offer from Shell. The man said, I'm not going to sign any form for you. But I just pack your load and go and work in Shell. I said, no, sir. Let me think about it. But meanwhile, sign this form for me and leave me to make the decision myself. And he obliged. So he signed the form. And after a few more iterations in my mind, and my father told me, I would rather that you go and work. So I then said, okay, I will try both. I would delay my scholarship maybe for about 3 months or 5 months, and I would start working in Shell and see whether I like it or not. So I wrote to Waterloo for them to delay my admission, and then I started working in Shell. But one day, I don't know what I did wrong. I suspected that some of the things I was supposed to be doing to follow up on my scholarship, I didn't do, because the Shell program was so intense. One day I just got a letter from Waterloo that my admission had been cancelled because I didn't do certain things. I just told myself, okay, this is the way God wants it. I better go and face this Shell job and stop messing around. So that was how I dropped the whole idea of becoming a lecturer and focus on my Shell job.
Wow. Quite interesting. Okay, to go to the next question, I would say that what strategies helped you lead through the complex corporate environment, especially in a resource-rich but politically dynamic region in like Nigeria?
I think I wouldn't call it strategy, to be honest. I call it grace. And I will also attribute my success in Shell to the people around me. I had good mentors while I was in Shell. Good mentors who were always directing me and leading me, because I don't think I was even a very corporate person. As a young man, I still wasn't taking work that seriously.
Yeah.
But I had people who would tell me, no, this is what you do, this is what you don't do. And one of the earliest challenges I had in Shell was somebody breathing on my neck when I've been given an assignment. So if you give me an assignment, you tell me when to deliver it, just leave me to it. But then I had some supervisors who always be coming to me like every morning to say, how far?
Because was it because you're the youngest, because you were very young or something?
Maybe I was very young compared to my supervisor then. And so that was even beginning to irritate me. That I know when I'm supposed to deliver this. So why is this woman always on my neck and all that? But I also have other people who are more senior, but who were a lot more matured in their approach. I remember one day our overall boss asked me for a memo, which he was sure he gave it to me, but I couldn't find that memo. And in my youthful style, I thought, why is he asking for this memo? We have treated it. So if I cannot find it, I will just tell him that the scriveners have lost the memo. So I told a supervisor of mine to say, I'm just going to tell this man that I've lost the memo. He said, don't do that. It will really work against you. I said, what am I supposed to do? I can't find it. He said, but who are those that were copied in that memo? In other departments. I said, yes, I know one Mr. Benko was copied this. He said, go to Mr. Benko and ask him to give you a copy. And I really thank that mentor for that advice. Not just that he saved the day, but he also taught me a lesson that you don't deal with your job with levity. You take it seriously. And then when there is a problem, you look for a solution. Don't just give up and say, I'm not going to tell him I've lost it. So those early teachings were
Yeah.
so helpful. And some of my bosses then, I'm so pleased that we are still friends today, because they were always guiding me, do this, do that. So it was very helpful.
Working across both local and international branches of Shell must have exposed you to diverse work cultures and regulatory environments. How did those differences shape your understanding of global corporate operations?
Well, I think number one, I must say that Shell is a great employer. Honestly, I don't think I will, if I come again, I will still like to work for Shell. They're a great employer. They train you. And even though it's a foreign company, but they do their best to give all people equal opportunities. It's still a human system, don't get me wrong, but they do their best to make sure everyone has equal opportunities. And I served in Aberdeen, and I could see in Aberdeen what I will call discrimination firsthand. It's not an organizational discrimination, but discrimination by people. So you have to always differentiate between what is structural and what is just people. I mean, in those days, I could feel it. Even me and other Nigerians in Aberdeen, we could feel that, there's a little bit of discrimination here.
Does it also has a trace of racism in it or some?
Something. But we learn to focus on our job. And what is also very intriguing is that after some time, all these folks who have tried not to identify with you start to gravitate towards you. So you start to learn that, look, sometimes there are biases, but focus on your own work, and let your work speak for you. And working in Aberdeen, for instance, also exposed me to different culture, even though in Shell, because it's a mixed organization, different nationalities, French, British in the main. But in Aberdeen, where you have predominantly British, you could see different work attitude. You could see how people tend to maintain work-life balance. That was my first realization that life is not just about work. Because in Aberdeen, we noticed that by 4 o'clock, the offices are empty. Whereas in Nigeria, even though closing time is 4, people will still be at work till 7, till 8. But in Aberdeen, you are like, so this is the end of the day. What am I going to do for the rest of the day? Weekend, nobody goes to work.
Well, here people go to work. Sometimes weekend people go to work. Nigeria.
It's almost a routine. So I started to realize that sometimes all this over-sabi that we do is not really helpful, to be honest. And I remember one day I went to work on a weekend. The security people reported it to my bosses
in
on
Aberdeen.
Monday. That Mr. Sunmonu came to work, and then he said, Mutiu, what's happening? I said, I came to this, not work. So it's a very, very good realization that it's not all about work. Try and give yourself some space. So, and I also see one notable experience I had in Aberdeen was that there was a day my boss, because our team was a very small team of about 3 or 4 people, and my boss will say, oh, he wants to set up a library. And he was asking who would be willing to set it up. And one of my colleagues quickly volunteered that he would set it up. And I was asking myself, we are fairly senior people. Why is this man giving us this administrative task when there are clerks, there are people who lower in the organization who could do it? But I saw the enthusiasm from this my colleague, and I learned from it that no job should be seen as too small, as long as it will add value. And by the time this guy finished setting up the library, we were all very proud that we have a library in our department that is well organized and that will serve our purpose. So I learned that don't let your seniority get into your head. You must be willing to do jobs that cut across several levels, even downward. So that I learned also in Aberdeen.
Oh, yeah. How long were you there for?
4 years.
Okay.
And then I also served in Holland for about 2.5 years.
Yes, okay. So, as the managing director of SPDC and country chair of Share Nigeria, what legacy do you believe you left behind?
I think an important legacy which I felt and people kept talking about it is good leadership. I felt I really allowed everyone around me to experience good leadership. And most of the people who are close to me, also in their own career, I saw them practicing good stewardship. I was very accessible, always ready to help people who are struggling in their career. And I was always very, very frank. I could call somebody to say, look, I don't think we are coping on this job. You go home, go and think about what you want to do next, and come and talk to me. Some people have come back to me to say, Mutiu, thank you very much. Nobody has ever respected me this way in this company. And I agree with you, I'm not doing well on this job. But frankly, I don't think I'm cut out for this job. And if you can help me, I would like to be given a package and exit so that I will also create space for the younger ones to grow. So I always get into that kind of personal level conversation with people who work for me or who are junior to me or who are my colleagues even. So I think that humane leadership is a major part of my legacy.
Because I saw at your 70th, many people came and we were talking about you at the party that how some people said what you did for them, if not for you, this would have happened, and so they were really there to actually celebrate you from their hearts. The next question is, since retiring from Shell, you have remained active across various sectors from construction to financial services. What keeps you motivated in the boardroom today?
I'm a change agent. I think naturally I'm a change agent. I don't thrive in a stable organization. I only thrive in organization that is either in trouble or looking to pivot into something. So those are the things I like to get involved in. So whatever it is, and I always believe that whatever the business is the same thing. It's about people. It's about strategy. So once you can actually marry those two things and making sure you have good processes, it doesn't matter to me what the business is. When I went into Julius Berger, I knew nothing about construction. And I never tried to second-guess the professionals, whatever they are doing in construction. No. I'm just like, okay, we want to make this organization a great organization. What do we need to do? I look at the people. What are we doing about our people management strategy? What is our business strategy? How are we interfacing with the external world? Those are the things that I really get involved in the boardroom. Whatever the business is, those three things will always play a major part in your success story.
What common governance gap have you observed in Nigeria corporate structures, and how do you address them in your advisory roles?
Well, I think the first thing for me is that a lot of people see being on a board as a matter of prestige or ego. And a lot of people believe that when you're on a board, you become very influential in that company, in what they do. And especially in the Nigerian environment, once people see that you are on a board of a particular company, they even try to bypass the executive and come and talk to board members to help them or whatever. So I think, first of all, the biggest gap I see is a lack of understanding of the role of a board. A lot of people just see it as a place to go and exert authority, whereas I see it as a place to go and exert influence on the way the business will run and come out. A lot of people see themselves when they're on the board as the boss or the MD. I see it differently. I would rather work with the MD collaboratively to change the game. I've been at some board meetings and you hear directors screaming and almost chastising their MD, and I say to myself, do you guys realize that you are also supposed to be a coach, not just an enforcer? People see their role more as an enforcer, but the more important role is that of a coach. You listen to what they have to say and you guide them. So that's orientation in the Nigerian space is still evolving. We are not there yet. And I think the third part, which is very, very important, is making sure that you follow the letter of the law. Making sure in your company you can demonstrate that you are following the good practices. So those are big issues in the Nigerian board environment. But I'm glad that a lot of people are also beginning to show interest and also wanting to be more impactful. Because that is your role. You need to make the right impact, not just to...
Well, even at the board and everything, there's also politics, how do you manage complaint and fraudulently telling lies or trying to implicate the other person? They know how are you able to manage such situations when you have
I think for me, frankly, nothing is off limit in terms of discussion. So people tend to call me outside of the board meeting. You want to come and see me? I would encourage them, come. And then when they lay their issues on the table, I say, you know what? At the next board meeting, put this thing on the table so that we can hear what others also have to say, and then we take a position. So everybody knows me that I like open discussion in board meetings. I don't like forming cliques in a board. It's divisive. So I like to have an open conversation. And some things I do, even in the board, is that when I see a director not behaving properly, I call you out to say, please, Alaji, I don't like this kind of behavior in the board meeting. Let us try to be more respectful of each other. So I'm just always very open with my board members. So that after a while, people know where Mutiu stands. But I'm not also advising them to bottle up their feelings. Speak up. Let's examine it so that we can understand where the friction is coming from.
Okay. What, in your opinion, what does good corporate governance look like in an African context?
What does
good corporate governance look like in the African context?
I think corporate governance is corporate governance, whether in Africa or Europe or America. The real problem is with the practitioner. The rules are very clear. The codes are clear, regardless of geography. But it's the practitioner that we need to hold to account. Some people don't believe in corporate governance, especially business owners, shareholders just want to use corporate governance to satisfy their own selfish act rather than promote the health of the business. And it is important for every board member to protect the sanctity of corporate governance. You will come across shareholders who want to lord it over the board. And you must stand your ground. Otherwise, when that business collapses, you have yourself to blame also. So I think the real issue with corporate governance is, let us make sure it is in the hand of the practitioner. The second most important thing is that I also feel that a lot of boards have a disproportionate number of directors that were appointed by shareholders. I think that also creates a problem. I would rather go for a board composition where you have a lot more independent directors who are not there to serve the interest of any shareholder, but the interest of the business. So it's about people. Let's make sure that we put people who have a passion for governance, people who have a passion for growth, people who have a passion for other people. Let's put them in the board. If you do that, the health of organization would change significantly.
What inspired you to co-found the State Center for Leadership Excellence?
I don't think I will take a personal credit for that, because that was my wife's gift to me for my 70th. But I recall some of the conversation we had when my 70th birthday was approaching. And I was telling her that, look, what I really would like to do is to do something that is more enduring. I would really like to do something that is more impactful. And she latched onto it and started asking me questions. And I wasn't giving her a pinpointed response, but she was saying, look, what you are describing for me is about leadership. And she said, look, I've seen the way you are supporting people who are close to you, your friends, your associates. And I feel that you need to expand accessibility to yourself. That the people who are benefiting right now from your knowledge and experience are those who are close to you. And I like you to broaden it out more and give a much wider access. And that was what informed her idea of the SAGE Center for Leadership Excellence.
What gaps in leadership training or corporate preparedness were you hoping to fill with the SAGE Center?
No, I think I really want to. My ambition or my vision will be to make sure the SAGE Center gives practical support to emerging leaders. I think I want people to start to appreciate that leadership doesn't come free. It doesn't come without you equipping yourself. It's not, there is a part of it that is natural, but you have to invest in your own development. And for you to grow your leadership skills, you need to learn from people who have walked the terrain before. So the way we are conceptualizing it is not just come and listen to lecture or come for a training program. It's about actually helping leaders to solve real business problems. So we bring you into a master class, you describe your problems, we get your colleagues to analyze for you, give you some ideas, and we work with you for a few months along the way until you start to see results. I'm always very excited when I see businesses, turning around, when I see businesses taking new initiatives that they never thought they could ever embark upon. So I really intend to give this my best shot, working with people, giving them practical guidance.
Yes. To the various businesses, it can be anything.
It can be anything. Yeah. I've told you before, business is all about people and strategy and execution. Yeah. So once you have those three properly understood and you nurture your people, you're on the right path.
How do you envision the long-term impacts of the SAGE Center on the next generation of West African leaders, and what measures are in place to track or evaluate that impact?
My thinking is that a tree cannot make a forest. So the Sake Center is just the beginning. We will get to a point whereby there is collaboration across leadership training institutions. But we just want to start and set the pace. But my whole idea is to bring in other leadership centers, credible leadership centers, to see how we can begin to change the orientation, the mentality. One important element that we will focus on in the Sake Center is character. I've always believed that if the character is wrong, there's no leadership. So, and for me, the younger folks of today need to appreciate that character is so germane. I talk to my children, everybody is just about where is the next deal coming from. Oh, this person is doing that. I say, but have you checked about the character of that person?
Exactly.
But people have not factored in character in how they lead. And so it's very important. It's one of the elements which I've been emphasizing in the Sake Center. Character.
So what advice do you most often give to emergency suits executive across West Africa?
My advice is listen. What I find is that a lot of CEOs don't listen because they are bright. That's a fact. They are very bright. And in most cases, they think they know it all. So they seldom listen, and all they do is just talk. So I want people to recognize that nobody can do it alone.
No.
So you need to bring in different perspectives into your leadership style. But that is very expensive because you have to listen more. And people do not have the patience and the humility to take in even dumb advice. You can let people say what they have in mind. Even from the most dumb idea, you can see a silver lining. So we must, as senior executives, learn how to listen. And when you listen, you should also probe what is informing this idea, what is informing this mentality, what is informing this reaction. We seldom give ourselves time to check those things. So my real advice is listen, because God has blessed you with the intellect to be discerning. But you will never bring that intellect into full impact if you don't listen enough.
Okay. So the next question is, you are deeply involved in education, from Blooming Bridge schools to McPherson University and your foundation. What drives this commitment?
I mean, I tell you something. When early as 1980, 1982, I think I was reading an article about Nigeria, about where our population will be many years to come. And I was really troubled that, hey, with this level of population growth, what will become of our educational institution. And when I came back from cross-posting in 1984, I couldn't find in Port Harcourt, I couldn't find good schools for my children. My son, who used to be in Federal Government College, Port Harcourt, before we went on cross-posting, when he came back, he said, "Dad, our school has become nothing. That everything that was there before he went abroad 4 years ago is no longer there." So I felt this is a gap, and every well-meaning Nigerian must rise up to fix this gap. The second important driving factor for me was my late wife. She had always wanted to own a nursery school because she went to a nursery school in those days, and she felt the way that helped in the development is very germane. So I saw the two things coming together, and I told her, okay, so we'll set up a school. We'll set up a school, and let us hope we can start to make an impact in that sector of the economy.
Because, those days, they were not nursery schools then. Just some people are just privileged to send their kids to nursery school. That was then.
Yeah.
So she must have seen one or two things, like some impact, like it also helped the children to, when they're growing up, to educational awareness, and you can't even compare that time to now. Because then, even at nursery school, they used to discipline kids. But now you can't just touch anybody's child.
Yeah.
They say it's child abuse. So, what do you think? I mean, like, compared to your time then, those days, when your neighbor, when you misbehave, your neighbor can even beat you and correct you. But now it doesn't happen anymore. Everybody just even if you see your neighbor's child doing what is wrong, you look away.
Yeah.
What's your opinion about that?
Look, my view is that what is not good is bad. And everybody should know that. Everybody should be so discerning to understand what is not good. But I also know that some of these policies and rules are there to prevent abuse. In my schools in Port Harcourt, we don't allow you to flog the children because you only need to have one bad-tempered teacher to put your school in trouble.
True.
But it does not mean we will condone bad behavior on the part of the students. So we monitor that very rigorously. And we have a system which we have published to all parents that once your child has this number of demerit points, he's going to leave the school. And my teachers, my principal, they know that once a child crosses that barrier, no Jupiter. Because no matter what pressure you put on this principal, he will just say, this is beyond me. You have to talk to our chairman. And if you talk to me, I will tell you, this is the rule that I have signed off myself. Yeah. I cannot be the one to reverse it. So I think those rules are very, very important. But what I also advise is that you need to revisit those rules from time to time and see, are they still relevant? Are they still creating the right impact? Do you need to tweak them a bit? So it's something you have to address.
Yeah. I was also going to ask this question too. What are the biggest challenges facing quality education in Nigeria today, and how are you addressing them?
The biggest challenge today is also the quality of teachers. The quality of teachers is not good enough. Number two, even the teachers you have, how committed are they? A lot of people went into teaching because they couldn't find other jobs. So you need to understand those challenges and therefore set up a system that can help you. I mean, I go all out to look for quality teachers, and it's tough. And I spent a lot of time and resources retraining teachers. But as we are retraining them and they're getting skills, another school is ready to poach them. So I remember in my school, the leadership kept telling me, "Excuse me, sir, you cannot be doing this. We are teaching these people on new IT skills. And so if anybody is going on training, they must sign a covenant." I said, "No covenant, please. First of all, we must work hard to be able to retain our teachers. If you cannot retain your teachers, look for other ways. Look for other things we need to do to retain your teachers. But I'm not going to say because they are poaching my teachers, I will stop training them. Because training is a lifelong thing. We must do it."
So the next question is, if you could reimagine Nigerian's educational system, what would be your top 3 priorities?
Well, I think the first thing for me is much higher quality training for teachers. You must train teachers very well. The second thing is to give teachers a pride of place in the society. I mean, you see students telling teachers that I can even pay your salary. Because that is what some of the parents are telling them. A parent had come to my school to harass my teacher, and I said, "No way, your child will leave the school. Your child will leave. Because if I allow that, then more and more teachers will be embarrassed by the students who they are supposed to be teaching." So we must, as a society, give teachers a pride of place. The other 3 things I would like to address is, let us de-emphasize white-collar jobs. And that is why we do not have technical school in Nigeria anymore. Everybody wants to go to university. And then they finish university, there's no job. Nobody wants to learn plumbing. Nobody wants to learn carpentry. We need to get this technical education.
What about that? I think there's one technical school in Yaba or something like that.
Yeah, they still exist, but I don't think they are being well funded.
But yeah.
And I've not seen many entrepreneurs funding that. They always want to do either university or secondary school. We need to start to encourage entrepreneurs to start to fund this middle-level manpower training.
What is the long-term vision for Mutiu Sunmonu Foundation, and what impact do you hope it will have in 10 to 20 years from now?
If I tell you that I know the impact it will have in 20 years from now, I'll be lying to you. But the only reason I set up Mutiu Sunmonu Foundation is that I wanted to put a structure around my philanthropic effort. I know that I personally spent a good proportion of my resources on philanthropy. And my lawyer, my chief of staff, have always told me, "You give this, you give that, but we don't even know about it." I said, "It's my prerogative." But I think I'm getting to a point that I realize that indeed I need to have a structure such that my effort can be more impactful. And so in terms of what it will do 20 years' time, I really don't know. But I just feel that whatever resources God has given us is not meant for us alone. We are supposed to use those resources to help others, to help your neighbors, to help humanity. And if you can put a structure around it, the better. And the situation in Nigeria today really demands that you have a strict structure. Because people will send you all manner of messages. I'm in the hospital. I have this. I have that. Oh, my mother just died. I was looking at a particular chat from someone, and I was scrolling back. Because the latest chat will say you are a single mother. In the previous chat, you are something. I say, why can you be several things all within 1 year? And I felt if you have a structured foundation that processes some of these requests, you will be directing your resources to
the right
where
channel.
it matters most.
What do you consider your most meaningful contribution, corporate or educational, and why?
My most important contribution, I must say, is leading by example. I really believe that from every feedback I have had, people have learned a lot from my humility, whether in business, whether socially. And I felt that for me, it looks rather soft, but it's very impactful. If we can be a lot more humble, if we can be a lot more humane, we will build a more just society. Because by being arrogant, by not caring, is one of the things that are fueling problems in our society. So I would rather that I feel my humility, my humane behavior should be a good thing for people to learn from.
As someone who has operated at the highest levels across sectors, what's your outlook on Nigeria's future economically, socially, and educationally?
The outlook for now is frightening. But we cannot give up on Nigeria. And I think one of the greatest challenges we have is the gap between our population growth and our economic prosperity. So we are growing massively in population. But in terms of economic growth, we are not growing at all. So that gap, as that gap continues to widen, all vices in the society will start to emerge. And I normally hate to put this kind of matter in the realm of politics or in the hands of politicians. We are all responsible. We must all come together to develop Nigeria. We all can make impact here and there. And by the time we pull it all together, we'll be amazed about how impactful our individual and collective contributions can yield. So I feel Nigerians must take over responsibility for a more humane society where people are not focusing on how to cheat the less privileged ones. We need to see what is it that we need to do to bring our neighbors up, to bring our society up. How does our individual investment benefit societal growth? How the money you are making from your investment, how are you spending it? How are you helping it to make society better. Because I always say, if we don't make our society better, we are all going to fall victims. We will all pay for it in a manner that we will all regret. So I will really feel that the gap is there between growth and prosperity, but there are also opportunities for individuals and collective work to start to impact more on the society and on the people of Nigeria.
Yeah, during our conversation, I know you mentioned about the fact that you used to go to the shrine because, those days, you happen to look and sound like a bookworm. So was Fela one of your favorite artists then? Because bookworms then, they will, you will connect it. What are they consider the shrine, listening to Fela? So tell us about your days as at the shrine and why you like Fela's music.
I like Fela's music because it was very philosophical, and his music and his personality really touched a lot of things in my head and in my mind as a young man. Fela didn't tolerate you shooting a fellow Nigerian. He never did. And he never tolerated insult. One day, Fela came to Unilag to give us a lecture. And a comment from the floor was rather insulting. And I was surprised about the way he stood up to that guy to say, "My friend, we are talking here intelligently. We are not here to get low. So I will not answer that question." I dove my heart for him. Because people would have thought that Fela is a carefree person, he wouldn't care, even if you abuse his mother on the stage. But he put the guy straight to say, we are not here to get low. So it's somebody I really admired a lot. And first I went for an event in Abeokuta over the weekend, and somebody was asking who was my best musician. And my wife told me, I can answer that for them. I said, what is it? He said, Sunny Ade. I said, Sunny Ade is not my best musician. No. My best musician is Fela Anikulapo Kuti. He said, but I don't hear you sing the song. I said, yeah, but it's still ingrained in my heart, in my brain. I love Fela. I love Fela. He might be a rather weird person, but if you analyze him deeply, you will see that he's driven by his philosophy. He's driven by his humane nature. He's driven by his desire that nobody should be oppressed. Those are key ingredients of a just society.
Yeah. And he was an activist too.
Yeah, he was an activist.
So, when you're not busy, you're obviously a very busy man. When you're not busy, how do you spend your me time? I know you have grandchildren here and there. I saw your son Lutana was dancing like it was the birthday boy on your birthday.
Yeah. When I'm not busy, I'm probably with my friends. When I'm not busy, I'm probably with my friends, and I'm even trying to create more time, more free time for myself.
So your grandchildren, how's your relationship with them? Did they, do you also have time to spend with them?
Yeah, when they come around, I spend time with them, but I want to spend more time with my grandchildren now, and I want to spend more time playing golf, because I feel that is the next sport I must really get into.
So you started training?
Yeah, I've been training for years. I never just got it right, but it's getting better.
Okay. If looking back as a young man, so who, apart from Fela's in Sola, who has influenced you as a leader? Like, it could go global. Who has influenced you as a leader?
I think I must say my leadership skill
Your dad.
get honed by reading. I read a lot of biography. I read a lot, even of autobiographies. And I have found Mandela a great leader. Any book about Mandela I try to read, because I can see how dogged, how unrelenting he is. And as a leader, you have to be unrelenting in your pursuit, because there will be a lot of obstacles on your path. And if you give up so easily, you lose your opportunity to be a reference point. And there is another great business leader that I admire a lot. And I read his book a lot, and that is Jack Welch.
Mm-hmm.
I read Jack Welch's book a lot. I like his approach. I like his people approach. But I'm also beginning to feel that, okay, some of his approach will not work anymore these days with the Gen Z. But the ingredients are there. All you need to do is just adapt it to your situation. So those two people I really admire a lot.
What is your general opinion about the Gen Z generation and the way they approach to life and their nonchalant attitude to life and the way they do things? Do you have any advice, or what do you think?
Well, I don't think we can blame them. We created the environment that brought up those attitudes in them. Even as parents, we were indulging them without realizing what the consequences would be. So, and you cannot reverse it now. All you need to do now is to try and bring some sensibilities into their thinking. So we have to accept that we are also responsible for where they are today and start to see how we can slowly turn it back. Slowly, slowly, slowly.
So what's the favorite meal?
My favorite meal? Well, in the past, it used to be beans. But now, because of my desire just to be healthy, because the way I describe what is my favorite meal now is that if I don't have it in 2-3 days, will I complain? And the only thing I will complain about if I don't have it in 2-3 days is avocado. I must have avocado every day. If I don't have it in 2 days, I will complain to say, where's my avocado? Otherwise, every other thing.
I think that's all for now.
Thank you so much.